The movie opens in a prison in Belarus, where a team of cameramen approaches a guard who allows them to witness a brutal fight. A massive man named Peter is seen battling 3 other inmates and ultimately defeats them as a cameraman records everything. Elsewhere, a millionaire named Breck watches the footage with amusement and instructs his team to bring Peter in. His men then pay a large sum to the warden and leave with the prisoner. Later, we learn that Breck is planning to broadcast a deadly reality show in which he will recruit 10 dangerous criminals from third world countries. They will be transported to a deserted island to fight each other to the death. Only one will survive in the end, and the winner will receive a huge cash prize and the freedom to live a new life. We are then introduced to Breck's team members, including the lead technician, Goldie, and other staff such as Eddie, Bella, and Breck's girlfriend, Julie. They operate from a secluded place, where they have set up numerous cameras and microphones around a nearby island where the show will take place. Sometime later, all the criminals are brought in, including Peter, a psychopathic British mercenary named Ewan, a Mexican criminal couple, Paco and his wife Rosa, a Japanese contestant, Saiga, a Ghanaian contestant, Yasantwa, and an American drug dealer, Creston. There's also a German man named Helmut and an Italian guy named Dominic. Lastly, there's Jack Conrad, an American inmate who has been serving his sentence in a harsh El Salvadorian prison for the past year. Afterward, the head of security, Baxter, lays out the rules and reveals that each contestant will be fitted with an ankle bracelet containing a bomb. The device has a tracking system and a 30-hour countdown timer that will detonate when the time expires. If they manually pull the red tab, the bomb is triggered, with a 10-second delay before it detonates. Next, the criminals are loaded onto a helicopter and flown to a nearby island in the South Pacific. Baxter places the keys to their handcuffs in their mouths and orders them to jump into the water below. One by one, the criminals comply, but when it's Dominic's turn, he protests and accidentally lands on a spike, leading to his instant death. During Jack's turn, he defiantly refuses to open his mouth and strikes Baxter with his elbow. This enrages Baxter, so he hurls the man out of the helicopter without the keys. Upon finally arriving at the beach, Yasantwa is immediately attacked by Helmut. He even tries to assault her, while Breck and his team watch this with amusement from the other side. However, after an intense fight, Yasantwa manages to turn the tables as she grabs a tree branch and stabs the big man. She then quickly detonates the bomb on his ankle and rushes away from there as Helmut explodes into pieces. Upon seeing this, Breck is thrilled and realizes that they've already reached 5 million viewers. But he isn't satisfied and is targeting 40 million, which Goldie finds a bit unrealistic. Elsewhere, Jack realizes that Paco is following him, so he hides behind some rocks and attacks him by surprise. But Paco makes it clear that he doesn't want to hurt anyone and is only looking for his wife. Jack lets him go and Paco hands him his keys, which surprisingly also unlock Jack's handcuffs. Not far away, we meet Creston, who doesn't want to play this stupid game and is desperately trying to remove his bomb so he can escape. He then notices a camera nearby, which instantly enrages him, so he smashes it to pieces. Shortly after, Saiga finds Ewan and immediately tries to attack him, but the latter suggests that they must team up to eliminate the others. Not far away, Jack comes across Peter, and even though he says he doesn't want to hurt him, Peter refuses and starts a fight. The two fall down a slope while fighting, and soon Jack realizes Peter's ankle bomb has gone off. He grabs a stone and throws Peter off the edge of the cliff, exploding him in midair. By this point, the viewers have already reached 12 million, and Breck asks his team to replay Peter's death in slow motion for the audience. Meanwhile, in the US, an FBI agent named Brad is also watching everything, as his team is trying to pinpoint the exact location where the show is being recorded. They've identified the US citizens, Creston, who was arrested in Malaysia, and Jack, who is a retired US Army soldier. Jack had a girlfriend named Sarah, who is now divorced with 2 kids and has been searching for him for the past year. Not long after, Sarah receives a call from the FBI about the deadly game featuring her boyfriend, leaving her in complete shock. She rushes to her workplace to borrow a colleague's laptop and logs into the game. After paying the $50 membership fee, she gains access and is horrified to see Jack's profile, filled with shocking lies. It says that Jack is a KKK member who bombed a clinic for disabled people before fleeing to El Salvador. Meanwhile, on the island, Paco and Rosa finally reunite and embrace each other with relief. However, their joy is short-lived when Saiga and Ewan suddenly attack them. They use a tree branch to break Paco's leg and tie him to a tree before proceeding to assault Rosa. Back at the base, Julie is horrified by this and pleads with her boyfriend to stop it, but Breck refuses. Even Goldie is so disturbed by the scene that she can't bear to watch anymore. This disappoints Breck, but at least Eddie and Bella support him and express how much they love their job. After abusing Rosa in front of her husband, Ewan and Saiga trigger her bomb to blow her to pieces. But when they turn around, they realize Paco has already escaped. Sometime later, Jack finds Paco crying and mourning his wife's death, so he tries to comfort him. Elsewhere, Yasantwa and Creston come face to face and start fighting, but Creston insists he doesn't want to hurt her and only wants to remove the bomb from his ankle. Meanwhile, Paco asks Jack for help in killing the two evil men, but Jack refuses, saying he isn't here to hurt anyone. He explains that all he wants is to find a radio so he can contact his girlfriend back home. Back at the base, Breck realizes that Ewan and Saiga are the most ruthless contestants and instructs his team to drop a bag for them via a helicopter. The two men soon find the bag and get excited to find it filled with guns and knives. Meanwhile, Jack cleverly jams the signal from the tracking device on his ankle with 2 pieces of iron, which makes him undetectable. He then says goodbye to Paco and rushes on his mission to find the radio. Back in the US, the FBI agents learn that Jack spent 14 years in the Delta Special Forces, and even though he was retired, he went to El Salvador undercover to bust a drug ring. He killed several drug dealers there and was arrested by the local police, who don't know his real identity or the fact that he was working for the US. Elsewhere, Goldie informs Breck that they can't locate or see Jack anywhere. He realizes it's because Jack is heading toward their base, which is the only place where they haven't installed any cameras. Soon enough, Jack arrives at the radio tower, and after knocking out a guard, he heads straight to the control room. There, he finds a phone and immediately contacts Sarah, who is furious that he disappeared for a year. Jack explains that it's complicated, but he makes it clear that he loves her a lot. He then gives her information about his bank account and asks her to secure the money in case he doesn't make it. Sarah reveals that the FBI has been trying to track his location, so Jack looks at the monitor in front of him and shares the coordinates of the island with her. Just then, Breck's team cuts off all of the lines, and the guards arrive to fire relentlessly at Jack. But the man somehow manages to evade their shots and escape into the woods. Meanwhile, in the US, Sarah calls Brad and gives him the coordinates of the island. Brad shares the information with his team, reminding them that even after spending a year in prison, Jack never betrayed his superiors, so now it's their duty to save him. Back on the island, Yasantwa and Creston are seen spending time together around a campfire. She begins seducing him, and he opens up, confessing how he was arrested in Malaysia after trusting a woman. But when Creston turns around, she's vanished, and his ankle bracelet starts beeping frantically. It turns out that Yasantwa triggered the bomb and fled, so within seconds, Creston is ripped apart in an explosion. Upon seeing this, everyone at the base starts laughing, and it turns out they've reached 20 million views. They then watch in the camera as Ewan and Saiga find Paco and brutally beat him up. However, Goldie is horrified and goes outside to vomit when Julie approaches him. She says they have to stop this madness, to which he also agrees. The two then approach Breck and ask him to stop this, as they have crossed all lines. But Breck just calls Goldie ungrateful since he's paying him a lot of money for the job. He forces Goldie to keep working and also slaps Julie for revolting against him. Elsewhere, the two evil men are still torturing Paco when Jack arrives and tells them to stop, but they refuse and pierce the poor guy's chest with an arrow. Ewan reveals that he is also ex-military, so he and Jack have a lot in common, but Jack insists they are nothing alike. Ewan then brutally burns a still-alive Paco, while a disgusted Jack vows to finish them. The next morning, Jack approaches Saiga and begins fighting him with an iron bar. Ewan lets them fight for a few minutes, but when he sees his ally losing, he rushes to help. Jack retreats and hides in a small shed, where Yasantwa suddenly arrives to attack him. He easily pierces her with an arrow, while outside, the two deranged men are preparing to set the shed on fire by throwing Molotov cocktails. A panicked Jack tries to help Yasantwa escape, but she has had enough and decides to kill herself by triggering the bomb. Luckily, Jack manages to escape the explosion in time, though everyone believes he is dead. With no one else left, Ewan and Saiga now begin fighting each other to become the winner. Saiga tries to run away from him when all of a sudden, Jack shows up and starts hitting him. Amid the fight, Ewan appears and helps his friend attack Jack, but our hero easily takes on both of them. He stabs Saiga to death, while Ewan runs away from the scene. Not long after, Breck orders his team to deliver another package to Ewan, which contains a shotgun. After finding the gun, an excited Ewan begins relentlessly shooting at Jack, who hides behind a rock. Ewan loses sight of him, and in the chaos, he even kills 2 cameramen along the way, who are dressed in ghillie suits. Moments later, Jack attacks him from behind and lands a punch, causing them to fight again. In the end, Ewan gains the upper hand and stabs Jack before pushing him to the edge of the rock, causing him to fall into the water. He tries to shoot again but realizes he's out of bullets. Jack is seen floating in the water, and it appears he's finally dead. Sarah is devastated by the turn of events, whereas Breck is excited that they have finally reached 40 million views. However, he is soon approached by Baxter, who informs him that the US military is coming after them. Breck now decides to leave alone with Baxter without informing his rest of his crew. Goldie finds out about this and tells Breck he can't abandon them like this. Breck tries to convince him by offering $1 million, but this only enrages Goldie, as it's far less than they had agreed upon. He tries to stop Breck, but Baxter quickly overpowers him and slits his throat. Moments later, the winner, Ewan, also arrives at the base, and Baxter uses a pin to remove the bomb from his leg. Ewan then demands his money, but Breck refuses, saying that he should be grateful that he's a free man now. This leads to an argument between them, but Breck doesn't care and walks away with Baxter. Elsewhere, we see that Jack is still alive despite being badly injured, and he starts to get up. At the same time, Ewan slaughters the guards before descending into a complete manic state. He bursts into the operations room and asks Bella to reveal their boss's location, but since she has no idea, he doesn't waste any time brutally shooting him to death. Meanwhile, outside, Jack is found by Breck and Baxter, who hold him at gunpoint, but Jack quickly disarms Baxter and fatally shoots him multiple times while a terrified Breck flees. Elsewhere, Ewan kills Eddie as well, and when he turns to Julie, Jack appears behind him. A terrified Ewan drops his gun and explains that he was forced to be here and killed all those people unwillingly. But Jack refuses to show any mercy and shoots him multiple times until he is dead. Following this, Julie and Jack go after Breck, who rushes to a cliff and manages to board a helicopter. Jack fires several shots at him, but none of them strike. Just when all hope seems lost, Julie hands him Ewan's ankle bomb, which Jack throws into the helicopter. Breck reaches for it, but seconds later, the helicopter explodes and crashes into the cliff, killing him. This finally ends the violent game, and Julie gives Jack a pin to deactivate his bomb. The movie concludes sometime later, with Jack driving back home in the US and reuniting with Sarah as a free man. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and check out this one too.